Maya, sweetheart, when are you going to get a real job instead of playing pretend consultant? My father said that across the dinner table, cutting me off mid-sentence. The whole room went silent. My brother Austin laughed out loud. I was holding my presentation materials in my hands, face burning with shame. That was 6 months ago. Yesterday, he showed up at my office door. My name's Maya, I'm 28, and I'm a financial planning consultant. I've always loved numbers, always made sense to me in a way people sometimes didn't. I went to business school, graduated with honors, and started my own consultancy when I was 25. My family never took me seriously, especially not Dad. He's traditional, you know? Worked the same manufacturing job for 35 years. To him, only physical labor counted as real work. My brother Austin, though, he worked corporate sales, flashy title, leased BMW, expense account. Dad praised him constantly. I drove a used Honda, lived modestly, reinvested everything into growing my business. I wasn't flashy like Austin. I didn't have the corner office or company expense account. But I had something they didn't see coming. I had clients who actually trusted me, and a waiting list 3 months long. I spent years seeking Dad's approval, never measuring up to Austin, never enough. If you've ever been pushed aside by family, subscribe right now and tell me where you're watching from. Let me take you back to that dinner. 6 months ago, Sunday night at my parents' house, I'd prepared everything perfectly. Printed client testimonials, anonymous, of course, growth charts showing my revenue milestones, industry recognition I'd received. I wanted to prove myself, finally earn his respect. I started explaining my new partnership with a regional wealth management firm. Big deal for me, huge validation. Dad interrupted before I finished my second sentence. Maya, come on. You're not running a real business. You're just giving advice people can get for free on Google. Austin jumped in immediately, smirking. Dad's right. I mean, financial planning? There's literally an app for that now. Mom sat there, visibly uncomfortable. But she didn't defend me. She never did. I tried explaining my certifications, my 94% client retention rate, the industry awards. Dad just waved me off. When I need money advice, I'll ask someone who's actually made money. Austin's pulling in 6 figures. Austin raised his glass, grinning. To real jobs. I packed up my materials with shaking hands. The humiliation burned in my chest. Dad didn't even notice I was hurt. He'd already turned back to Austin, talking about sports. I grabbed my bag and headed for the door. That's when I overheard it. Dad was bragging to Austin about his retirement portfolio, all investments Austin had personally recommended. I froze in the hallway, listened. I recognized the names immediately. High-risk meme stocks, trendy funds. Austin barely understood. The kind of stuff that looks smart at a cocktail party but destroys actual retirement accounts. I almost turned around, almost warned him. Then I stopped myself. Why would they listen to me now? The following weeks were brutal. Our family group chat exploded with retirement planning discussions. Dad and Austin texting constantly about investment strategies, stock tips, market predictions. I stayed quiet mostly. But one time, I couldn't help myself. I saw Dad mentioning a fund with insane expense ratios. I typed, "Those funds have really high expense ratios. You're losing money to fees." Austin's response came immediately. "Lol, thanks, but Dad's working with someone who actually knows what they're doing." Me. Dad sent a laughing emoji. Just that. Nothing else. I muted the conversation, sat there staring at my phone, stomach in knots. A month later came Mom's 60th birthday lunch. Nice restaurant downtown. Extended family there. Aunts, uncles, cousins. Dad was talking loudly about his smart investment strategy. Proud, confident. My Aunt Linda turned to me, trying to be nice. Maya, honey, how's your business going? Before I could answer, Dad cut in. Oh, Maya's still doing her little consulting thing. It's cute, really. Cute. Like a child's lemonade stand. Austin added with this condescending grin. She mostly helps people who can't afford real financial advisors. The table laughed. Not cruelly, exactly, but dismissively, like it was an inside family joke. I excused myself to the bathroom, locked the stall door, texted my business partner Jessica that I'd be late to our afternoon client meeting. She replied immediately, "You okay?" "Family stuff. I'm fine." I wasn't fine. 2 weeks later, Dad texted me out of nowhere. "Can you look over some paperwork real quick?" No big deal. He sent phone photos of documents, investment statements, quarterly reports. I reviewed them that night. My stomach dropped. Austin's picks were tanking. Management fees eating whatever pathetic returns remained. Tax implications he clearly hadn't considered. I wrote a detailed message explaining the problems, offered potential solutions. Dad replied, "Can you just fix it for me?" I hesitated, then typed, "I can do a full portfolio review and create a proper plan. My standard consultation fee is..." He cut me off mid-message. "LOL, you seriously want to charge your own father? Forget it, Maya." Before I could respond, Austin jumped into the group chat. "Dad, ignore her. I got this. Maya's just trying to make herself feel important." Dad's response, "You're right, son. Thanks." I stared at my phone for a long time. Didn't respond. That same night, I closed a major deal with a CPA firm. They'd refer all their clients to me for planning services. Biggest partnership of my career. What they didn't know was that I'd spent 3 years building something real. My consultancy was managing 47 active client relationships by then. I'd just hired my first associate advisor to handle the overflow. Monthly revenue was consistently hitting 5 figures. I'd recently received a Rising Professional Award from the Regional Business Association. Kept it off social media, though. Not my style. I had a formal partnership with an established wealth management firm as their specialist planning consultant. Full professional liability insurance, multiple securities licenses, CFP certification in progress. I'd saved all the dismissive texts and emails from Dad and Austin, not for revenge, just as a painful reminder of how they saw me. But most importantly, I'd built a reputation for fixing messy situations caused by overconfident amateurs playing advisor. I'd handled 3 cases that year almost identical to Dad's situation. I knew exactly what was coming. I'd seen this story before. Through family gossip, I'd been quietly watching Dad's situation from a distance. A former colleague at Dad's manufacturing plant mentioned he was bragging about retiring next year at 65. I did the math. If Dad was invested where I suspected, and the market corrected the way it just did, he'd be lucky to retire at 70, and that's if he stopped the bleeding now. Jessica was the one who really saw it coming. She's my business partner, woman in her 50s, mentor figure, former corporate advisor. She'd witnessed the birthday lunch humiliation firsthand, pulled me aside afterward. "You know they're gonna come crawling eventually, right?" I shrugged. "Maybe. Doesn't matter anymore." "It matters to you, honey. You need to decide right now what your boundaries are, before emotion makes you decide." I didn't really understand what she meant then. I do now. The group chat kept going. Austin posted screenshots of one stock that jumped 12%. Dad replied, "See? Austin knows his stuff. Best advisor I could ask for." Conveniently, no mention the portfolio overall was down 18% in 3 months. Austin announced he was officially managing Dad's complete retirement strategy now. Dad sent back, "Finally got myself a financial advisor I can actually trust." I screenshotted the message. Not even sure why. It just stung. Then Mom started texting me privately. Separate thread Dad didn't know about. Your dad's been really stressed lately. Won't tell me why. Won't talk about money anymore. My heart sank. I knew exactly why. A week later, she texted again. He's locked in his office every night staring at the computer. I'm getting worried, sweetie. Is it about the retirement account? I asked. He won't say. Austin keeps telling him not to worry. 2 days of silence. Then my receptionist buzzed my office line. Maya, there's, someone here to see you. Your father? My stomach dropped. We hadn't spoken in 2 months. I took a breath. Send him in. Dad walked into my office for the first time. Really looked around. Conference table. Framed credentials on the wall. My associate advisor working in the adjacent glass office. He shifted uncomfortably. Nice setup you got here. I stayed calm, professional. What can I do for you, Dad? He sat down heavily, slid a wrinkled folder across the table, wouldn't make eye contact. I wanted to get your opinion. On something? I waited silently. His voice came out small. The retirement account, Austin's investments, they're not doing what he promised. What exactly did he promise you? He said 15% annual returns, said it was basically guaranteed with his strategy. I closed my eyes briefly. Dad, nothing is guaranteed. Ever. How much are you down? His voice barely audible. $22,000 in 4 months. I took the documents, reviewed them with a professional eye. It was actually worse than I'd feared. Dad leaned forward, desperate now. Can you fix this? I need to retire next year, Maya. I'm 64. My back's killing me. I can't do the floor work much longer. I felt the old instinct rising. Just help him. Prove you're valuable. Earn his love. Then I remembered Jessica's words. Boundaries. I can help you, but I need you to understand something first. Dad started to interrupt with excuses. No, you're going to listen now. For once. My voice was steady, firm. I walked him methodically through every single mistake. Overlapping funds, excessive fees, zero diversification, horrible tax implications. I pointed to the credentials on my wall. The binder of client testimonials, industry awards. That cute little consulting thing? I've managed $6.2 million in client assets this year. I've saved 4 families from exactly this situation. Dad's face shifted. Embarrassment, shame, dawning realization. I'll fix this, but I'm doing it as your financial advisor, not as your daughter trying to impress you anymore. I slid my professional service agreement across the table, fee structure clearly outlined. Dad stared at it, shocked. You're actually going to charge me? I didn't flinch. Would you expect Austin to do his sales job for free? Long, heavy silence. Dad picked up the pen with a shaking hand, signed the agreement. His voice broke slightly. I'm sorry. I should have listened to you. Yeah, you should have. I spent the next 2 weeks completely restructuring his portfolio. Saved him $8,000 in immediate tax penalties he didn't even know existed. Reallocated everything to an age-appropriate, diversified strategy. New projection. He could still retire at 65. Income would be modest but stable and sustainable. 3 months later, Dad's account was steadily recovering. Retirement back on track. He texts me monthly updates now. Asks questions respectfully. Actually listens to my answers. He asked me to give a short presentation at his retirement party next year about smart financial planning. Don't need his validation anymore, but it still feels quietly good. Austin barely speaks to either of us, too embarrassed to acknowledge what happened. Mom calls me weekly now. He talks about you differently, tells all his work friends about your business. The professional boundaries remain firmly in place. Dad pays every invoice on time, never asks for a family discount again. My business continues growing. Dad referred 2 coworkers who became long-term clients. I don't gloat about it on social media. Don't make it a revenge story. I just keep working. Keep building. I spent years trying to prove I was worth listening to. Turns out, I just needed to prove it to myself first. Dad came around only when I stopped waiting for his permission to be successful. Yesterday, I was at my desk during a new client consultation. My phone buzzed. Dad asking a genuine question about Roth IRA conversion. I smiled slightly, made a note to answer after the meeting ended. Everything on my terms now. If you've ever had to stand up to family members who doubted you, I really want to hear about it. Hit that subscribe button and tell me in the comments, what's something your family completely underestimated about you? Drop your location too. I love seeing where everyone's watching from around the world. And if you're dealing with family who won't respect your work or your boundaries, remember this: you don't need their approval to be successful. You just need to believe in yourself. Thanks so much for listening. I'll see you in the next one.